Welcome back to Overwatch Hot Takes. My name is KarQ. Haven't done this in a while. Let's see what we got here. First take of the week is my take is that Overwatch would have had its numbers drop around now, regardless of whether Marvel Rivals came into existence or not. You can't have a player base be this pessimistic about a game without them eventually leaving. I mean, true, if they were on the same track and the same plan that they'd have been, I mean, you can see the graph going down everywhere. The only public available graph is Steam. The internal charts probably experience a similar dip in terms of a decline, but obviously we don't have the exact numbers. But people who are just gachaing only on the Steam ones, they're not like completely misguided. It probably gives a good representation of the general decline, but like we don't know the base number on Battle.net. But regardless, luckily, the new perk system coming back to China, returning the goodwill of the players, are bringing back loot boxes and bringing back systems that people wanted back into the game is gonna do well for your game. And they released a teaser on Stadium. I played Stadium, which is their new mode coming out. I think we're finally on the up and up again, so I can honestly say that we're back. But this is not a hot take. I agree, it would have dropped regardless if they were on the same content path. Next hot take is Overwatch should not try to add more heroes. Certainly they shouldn't try to keep up with Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals has an existing history of heroes to adapt. Overwatch has to start from scratch. Rushing them out will equal a massive fall off in quality. I mean, this is true, and I don't think they're ever going to do more than 3 releases a year. Also, Rivals first 2 seasons, or season 0, season 1 right now, are like a bit of an anomaly. I think they announced that obviously with the Fantastic Four, 4 new heroes in season 1, but then afterwards they're going to do like a 1 new hero per season cadence, which is obviously at a higher frequency than Overwatch regardless. But you're right, Overwatch has to build their characters from scratch, whereas Marvel has pretty much like a whole backstory, lore and everything written out for the heroes already. And like before the official release of Rivals, I'm sure they banked like many heroes to be released in the future, whereas Overwatch, they probably did that in 2016. They banked Ana, Sombra, and a bunch of heroes early on, and then over the course of 9 years now, they've slowly like funneled it down to like, okay, this is our content cycle with the team size we have, 3 per year. But Rivals can probably upkeep a decent hero cadence for a little bit. It will be 1 per season. We'll see how long that lasts. I do foresee them probably keeping that up for the foreseeable future. Like these devs are probably planning months and years ahead probably. I think Rivals is probably like at least a year and a half out in terms of like what they have ready and prepared for, as like certain teams are working on stuff that's supposed to come out a year and a half, 2 years later at least. But I agree. I don't think Overwatch needs to match them at all. Next hot take. As a tank main, Overwatch's tanks are simpler yet deeper. Rivals tanks have more abilities but less tech. I'm still learning new stuff in Overwatch, whereas in Rivals, once I learned their kit, I felt like I had no room to grow. Okay, this one's a hot take because I actually disagree with this one for sure. I will say yes, Overwatch's tanks are generally a bit more simpler. I don't know about deeper. Rivals tanks definitely have a lot more abilities right now. I mean, they're using so many extra keys on my keyboard. I'm using F, V, X, C, team ups, and all these kinds of interactions. And I do think that you can always be learning new stuff in Rivals. So I disagree. I think there's a lot of actually hidden tech that people haven't discovered yet. You're still learning new stuff in Overwatch because maybe, I don't know how long you've been playing, but like, I'll be honest, I don't think I'm learning that much new stuff, like specifically tech-wise. Maybe like adapting playstyles and stuff is something I can learn, but like in terms of most tech, like I don't think new tech gets discovered in Overwatch very often at this point in the game. But Rivals, new tech comes out every single day on TikTok and Reddit and stuff like that. So this one's a take for sure. Next hot take, Flashpoint is fun, but the most annoying part is that the first point is always the same. I agree that Flashpoint is fun, but I don't think it's annoying. I think you need to have one central fight in the beginning before it starts randomizing. Imagine playing Flashpoint, the first point is like this top right section, and the team with the closer spawn just has like a better advantage off the rip. You need it in the center. The only problem is the center point, the main choke on a lot of the maps just suck ass. Like I'm thinking New Junk City, everybody gets funneled into those tight rooms, that tight arena room with a little pillar in the middle. They just need to open that entire shit up. What's the Suravasa main point? Yeah, you either go through that first little door, and then that underside where you walk in is such low ground, nobody likes going there. And then like that right side is like this weird area to control. Like I just think that first point needs to be fixed, and I think all the other points have their pros and cons. It's always that first point clash that seems to determine the pacing and the momentum that a team gets. So that's my only feedback on Flashpoint for sure. But I don't think that part's annoying, so that's a hot take. Or I don't think it's annoying that the fact that the first point is always the same. I think you need that in that. Hot take, I think Brig is the most annoying support, maybe even hero to play against. She just makes her other support immortal, and they make her immortal. A hero entirely centered around Peel is horrendous to play against. Not even Overwatch 1 Peel Diva was this effing annoying, especially since she needs no aim for her healing. If she has a Juno, she is nearly undiveable backline. Certainly subjective. I think Brig is annoying depending on the player you play against. For me, as a support player, like I don't interact with a lot of support, so my personal annoying support to play against is actually Lucio, who could speed in, boop, and disrupt me and be annoying. But like I think if you play like any dive DPS or anything like that, or any sort of dive tanks, then Brig can be very annoying. Yes, so I see that. I think Overwatch 1's version of Brig was infinitely more annoying than what we have now. Like shield bash is counterable by like any sort of like shield, like bubbles and stuff. It doesn't stun unless you're in ultimate. And the whip shot, that's the only part that requires aim, which is a big part of getting her heals and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I see your point. I don't know what to say other than the fact that Overwatch 1's Brig was just way worse. She is diveable, but like that's her strength though. She has to play specifically against stuff that like jumps her backline, and she's there to protect them. Like that's her entire shtick. If you play like long range poke, you can get outclassed as a Brig. You can't do anything, you can't get in range, you can't pack anybody. You just play a different comp. She's a hero that excels specifically against one thing, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. A lot of heroes are kind of like that, even in Rivals. I know we're comparing it to Rivals all video, but like there's Penny Parker, which is specifically designed to like really be annoying against dive, same with like Namor and stuff. Hot take, while Rival shows us why supports with strong escapes and CCs like KarQ, Mercy or Moira, etc. need to exist. It's absolutely unbearable and unfun for the support player to be completely powerless to do anything against dive characters like Spider-Man, Magic, or Iron Fist. I'm trying to think of like the supports you're mentioning. I feel like most supports in Rivals actually have some sort of way to fight back divers like Spider-Man, Magic, or Iron Fist. Obviously, if you're getting triple teamed, like a 3-2-1 by multiple people, no matter what hero you're playing, like Kiri, like Mercy, Moira, Flight, and Fade, and Suzu's, like even in Rivals, if you're getting triple dove by anything, like you will probably die. But in a specific like 1v1 dive, I think all Overwatch heroes, minus Mercy, can fight back. Same with Rivals. So like Ana, you can sleep, you can nade with BAP, you can regen burst, throw the lamp, and shoot them back. Moira, you can fade, throw orb, suck. Mercy, I mean, you have to fly away. That's like the only exception. KarQ, you can TP out Suzu and challenge them with your kunai. But in Rivals, in a 1v1 dive, like Cloak and Dagger, you can actually like bounce heals off yourself to splash and stay alive, then switch to Terror Cape when they leave. Luna, you have the sleep dart, or the frozen sleep dart. Mantis, you have the true sleep dart, the sleep spore. Or sorry, Invisible Woman can boop them back. Loki can TP out, put the rune down. The only one that doesn't have anything is Adam Warlock. He just has to sit there and heal himself with his finger snap and maybe soul bond. And that's why Adam is very vulnerable to dive. He's like the only one. You can fight against dive, so that's the takeaway point here. I don't think this is necessarily true. That Rivals shows us why strong escapes are necessary, because you can fight back even without one minus Adam Warlock. But then again, that's why Adam isn't really played unless it's triple support or with the team up, even after the buffs so far. But yeah, Koji, my editor, just stuck in a lot of Rivals stuff. I'm not here to combat and like make more people tribalistic against both games. I enjoy both. I'm covering both games. I'm playing both. I'm giving both a fair shot with their pros and cons. Let's see what you have to say. Rivals is super overrated. People keep acting like it's the Overwatch killer, but it's not. It just came out not long ago, and that is why people are so in love with it. Once some time passes, they'll start complaining and see the faults once the rose tinted glasses come off. Both are fun, both are enjoyable, and both can exist, but saying Rivals is so good that it'll end Overwatch is a massive lie. It won't. If anything, Rivals being out should make Overwatch want to improve, and vice versa. People who quit Overwatch for Marvel Rivals are lying to themselves when they say, I'm done with Overwatch, and then they come back the next day. I agree with like 80% of this. I don't think Rivals is overrated. I think it's very good in its own regard, but you're right. People keep acting like it's the Overwatch killer, but it's not. But that's usually the people who act like that are the really jaded, like fully like I hate Overwatch people, and they probably haven't touched Overwatch in the last like 6 years and haven't realized, you know, the recent good decisions they've actually been able to like go on recently. So like I don't really value their opinions at all, but like those are the ones that generate headlines and then like news articles and people will pick up on stuff like that because like that's what generates buzz and clicks. There's actually like a trick to content creation. You have to elicit emotion. Number one, like for me, I like to inspire and educate and make people like feel good about getting better at the game, which actually isn't the most ideal way to get attention. The easiest way to get attention publicly is rage baiting, getting people angry because it makes people band together. The easiest thing and the low-hanging fruit thing to do, which is why a lot of people do it. A little annoying, not my cup of tea. But in any case, let's see the rest, let's dissect the next part. It just came out not long ago. Yeah, there's a little bit of a honeymoon phase. Once some time passes, they'll start complaining and see the faults. There are some cracks and people are already starting to notice like, you know, some of the balance and optimization, blah, 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 blah. But they're still enjoyable, I agree. But saying it'll end Overwatch is a massive lie, you're right, it won't, correct? Anybody who like obviously is like thinking rationally will know that it's not going to kill Overwatch. And you're right, like the competition is like lighting a fire under Overwatch's ass, which is a good thing. But yeah, like I said, the people who are just, you know, shitting on the game nonstop are people who haven't touched the game in a long time and seen the recent stuff. The people who quit are lying to themselves saying I'm done. There are, no, I will disagree with that. There are genuine people who have actually quit and are not coming back because this Rivals is actually the most hero shooter adjacent to Overwatch in a long time. But there are some people who said, I quit Overwatch for Valorant when it came out, but they came back because Valorant really isn't like Overwatch at all. It doesn't scratch the same itch. Same with Apex. Some people did leave for Apex, some people did leave for Valorant. I'm not saying there aren't, but like majority of the streamers and content creators who did leave, try to leave for those games, did come back because they're not as adjacent. But hero shooters like Rivals definitely can keep people permanently in the other game, and it's popular enough and people are making money and succeeding in their respective games, are probably going to stay to the other game. Okay, I guess we really are a Rivals thing. Hot take: Rivals is way too high compared to the game's objective qualities. Lately, almost all Overwatch biggest streamers are destroying the game and praise Rivals as if it was the ultimate perfection, without ever mentioning its numerous flaws that drove me away from it after the 50 hours. Clunky gameplay that feels like a mobile game. Copy and paste between heroes. Half the ultimates are just big explosions. Most primary fires feel exactly the same, etc. Opaque monetization with 4 currencies. Lack of balance. Everyone that says it's fun, but at the end of the day, you play the same comps in the same 4 maps over and over again. I feel like Rivals strongly supported content creators at its launch, which Overwatch hasn't done. Streamers are therefore pushing the game as hard as they can for financial reasons and losing part of their objectivity in the process. That last point you made, I really want to drill home right here. It's not hidden knowledge. Rivals incentivizes people, which is genius. This is they actually kill, like, obviously the game is fun. I criticize the game where it needs to be criticized for sure. Like, I'd say, okay, this part sucks, but you're right. A lot of people will conveniently ignore it just to gotcha the Overwatch moment while ignoring all the faults of Rivals. But you're right though. The last part with the marketing, they are actually incentivizing creators to upload content. If you upload content, you can apply for this partner program on Rivals, and there's like, I think 1,000, like they let everybody in, because to them it's like, hey, if you want to make content in our game, we'll let you in. And I think that's genius, and I think Overwatch needed to do that from the get-go. Like, I was like, dude, Rivals did that right. NetEase did that perfectly. You apply, you have a verification on how many followers on whatever platform you want to do it on, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, or whatever. And like, if you upload more, if you upload a certain amount, they pay you out. They also pay you out for being like the top most viewed person. So people are incentivized to constantly pump content for the game, which is free marketing to them. And they pay you a little stipend, a little dividend, be like, hey, thanks for uploading content. You were the most viewed person. Here's like $1,000. Is it $1,000, $2,000? Which is incredibly cheap for NetEase. You guys have no idea how much they pay certain creators like Shroud or whatever, or Tim the Tatman to do like a big sponsored segment. But then there's a bunch of creators just like willingly participating in just for a chance to, for like 1,000 people uploading 8 videos. That's 8,000 extra videos per month that creators are pumping out for a chance to win like $1,000, $2,000. Obviously they're doing it because like it's good for themselves, good for the brand. If they pop off, they make money elsewhere. But I'm saying NetEase only has to pay out $2,000 for the first place, like $1,500 for the second place or whatever on each platform. It's like 10 grand for 8,000 videos. Like, there's some of them that are super viral and just marketing the game for them. That is so cheap. Cheaper than you're ever going to pay Tim the Tatman to do a sponsored segment by far. Absolute genius marketing play, and I think Overwatch needs to do that. They have test servers. They have these test servers that I'm in, a lot of people are in, to show off content early. It generates buzz, it generates hype. It gets so many people trying to like fight to log in and get content out as fast as they can, to show the Human Torch, to show the Thing, show all the new content 2 or 3 days before the season. It makes people want to watch the content on YouTube, like, oh my god, this new stuff's coming out, and all the creators are like foaming in the mouth, myself included, which is why I didn't upload here, because it's a rush and a rat race to upload content. Rivals, amazing in that regard. But like, you know, now you're saying all the things, it's not the ultimate perfection. There are flaws, like optimization's terrible, some of the balance is a little whack for sure. But I kind of like went on a rant on like how good Rivals is in terms of their creator program, because like that's what I wanted Overwatch to be from the beginning. I really wanted to be that. And like, obviously, if you guys watch my YouTube content on my main channel a couple of years ago, we used to have something similar to this, but it was a lot more smaller of a limited program where we were able to kind of like get things early. Like you saw, like I released a Lifeweaver like ability breakdown video a day early, and it cooked. Every time I made content early, because they gave like access to creators, it did really well. And like, that's just extra numbers for Overwatch. But I feel like Overwatch got to a point where like they wanted all the numbers for themselves, where it's like, okay, like we don't want creators to upload the stuff first. We wanted like time our release first, and then the creators can just do it whatever after. But like I'm no marketing expert, but I think you just want, like, who cares what platform it's on? You just want people talking about your game. And if you can get, you know, open up your creator program to like the thousands that Rivals is doing, if you open it up to like, for, you know, hopefully a couple hundred, I don't know how people are going to be interested in doing Overwatch content like this, but like to get access, not only on YouTube, but like news reporters and like all these big platforms, like you just have to spread your seed everywhere. And who cares if your own personal Blizzard news article numbers take a hit when you've got like the raw volume of extra eyeballs on your product, which could hopefully sell more and get more people back into the game. I'm over the, you know, Anyways, that's my point. Okay, hot take. Similar to the take about one tricks, but one tricks really seem to have the most fun playing Overwatch. So I think in competitive, you want to have fun. Start one tricking your favorite hero instead of trying to worry about swapping to multiple different heroes. You still get to play your favorite and force yourself to learn to adapt. I also like having a one trick on my team because I know they're typically good at their one trick, and I'm not really a flex player either, but with my one trick, I try to support them or help them where they struggle, which allows them to pop off. It might be confirmation bias, but nah, it definitely is. But I feel like I win with some crazy one tricks often lose with players that switch their heroes 5 times throughout a match. I'm kind of the same way in the mindset where like I actually don't care if I have a one trick on my team. Because like you said, I know they're like, they probably push that hero to the limit and they know all their bad matchups, and it's probably better that they play their one trick versus them trying to like people going like, just get off this hero, it's so bad for a comp. But then when they swap to the hero that the person requested, they're ass at that hero. They're not good at it, and it's just infinitely worse. There's more things to worry about than like the right hero pick and the right comp in solo queue. Like in pro competitive structure, like I don't think you can have a one trick or anything. You need to be able to adapt. But like in true solo queue pickup games, like literally you're queuing in with random people, I'd rather people play their best style, their best way they can play. That's the easiest way to win, in my opinion, because I personally am a bit more adaptable and flexible, and I can kind of like play around them. Not everybody can, but like I do agree that they probably do have the most fun because they're probably voice chat out, and maybe it can be a little frustrating. I think that's the bigger complaint. I actually think people underestimate how often they win with their true one tricks, but like it's not a good experience, not a fun experience when you have that one trick where it seems like you are getting screwed because they're playing their one trick and it's forcing like the enemies to play a certain way that makes you who's playing your hero not being able to play the game. Does that make sense? Like if you have a ball one trick, it's forcing them to play, and the enemy team is swapping to Sombra and your ball's dying and then you die as a result. It can feel very frustrating. It's like the lows are way lower when you play with the dedicated one trick. So like that's why like people are very active and anti one trick. And like so I still think you should play other heroes, but like generally speaking, like I don't care as much as people think. Like I just play my game. You know what I mean? I can really focus on me. Like ball one tricks are gonna ball one trick, mercy one tricks are gonna mercy one trick. Like there's so many different heroes in the game. People are gonna find like they enjoy certain heroes more than others. Not everyone's gonna pick the perfect comp in ranked. Like that's just the way it is. There's no denying it. Even when Genji was in his absolute worst state, Genji was still like the 4th most picked hero because he's fun. If people are just gonna play what's fun, and when you can manage your expectations, you're gonna have a better time than getting salty all the time. Overwatch 2 will definitely make 6v6 permanent. With how good Marvel Rivals is doing, they're gonna try to make the player base as happy as possible. I agree. I think they said they're doing the 6v6 ranked mode. They're testing it out this season, and like I see no reason why they wouldn't keep it as a standalone ranked mode, separate queue. I think they worry probably about queue times, but like that's just they're just gonna have to take it on the chin, because that's what open queue 5v5 is right now. It's probably terrible queue times, but there are people who play it, and you want to appease your player base, keep the option open despite the long queue times. Like this is what you're gonna get. If there were truly that many people interested in it, then the queue times wouldn't be that bad, that's for sure. But like that's just the harsh truth. Like I think they will put it in, and I think they should keep it in and just have that available alongside with Stadium. Seems like we're segmenting the player base too much, maybe too many cards, but I think you can maybe cut out some of the arcade cards. I feel like some of the arcade modes are the ones that are like not being played so much. But I remember when I used to play Halo 3 as a teenager, they would actually show the player population in each playlist. That's the same idea where like certain playlists, I think there's a playlist called Team Objective that had the lowest player base. Everybody loved Team Slayer, they loved MLG, they loved Team Doubles, but like there were certain ones that were not popular, but they had the public numbers. But it's fine, you still keep it there for those who want to play it. I was one of those people that played Team Objective because I wanted the 50 rank on every single playlist. That was the hardest one to get because the player pool was so small, but keep it out there for those who want it. And then the people who know it accept the long queue times. I accepted the 20-minute queues in Team Objective when I was a teenager. All right, cool. That's it. Welcome back to the series. Back on regular KarQ content. See you guys next week.